Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Ross Reviews. Today we are checking out this 2008 XR5 Turbo, and I've always been so curious about these cars ever since I drove the MK2 Focus RS, as these do share the same base engine. Now this one has had a few minor modifications done to it. It's got a short shifter, cold air intake, the exhaust has been decatted. The car has also had a flash tune done to it, so this is going to be a lot of fun. Driving this XR5 Turbo, this thing is a little rocket ship, and listen to the little bangs and pops this thing does. Oh, it sounds bloody good, this car. The XR5 Turbo is a hot hatch built by Ford and fits in their XR range in between the XR4 and the XR6. Fittingly enough, the XR5 Turbo actually boasts a unique Volvo 2.5 liter 5-cylinder turbo engine, and this thing is just so unique. Makes about 225 horsepower and about 236 pound-foot of torque from factory, with a claimed 0 to 100 in about 6.5 seconds. This thing is really punchy. It sounds really good, and you just don't see many 5-cylinders out there, and man, you should see a lot more, because this is a lot of fun. Now, I did mention that this has the same base engine as the MK2 Focus RS, and it does. This is the same 5-cylinder Duratec, I believe it's called, turbo engine, though in the RS, they do have, I believe, larger injectors and a bigger turbo. So it is a faster machine, the RS, but you know, a few modifications going into this. You know, this 5-door hatch, it goes all right. Just going from like 20 k's an hour here. Oh my goodness, this is fun. This is fantastic, this car. A lot of people hate when they get torque steer and stuff. They complain about it. I, for one, love it. You know, there is something so satisfying about driving an overpowered front-wheel drive car. It is just so much fun. And when you add the soundtrack of this 5-cylinder turbo, it just sounds so good. And those pops and bangs get me every time. Now, I really just want to touch on the exterior of this car, because I, for one, really think this is a handsome looking car. I don't know, every time I've seen one of these, the body kit it has, the wheels, I just think the car really looks good, and especially when it has that exhaust note from this glorious 5-cylinder turbo. This is just such a special car, very unique, and I love a good hot hatch. Oh, I love a good hot hatch. Now, one other thing I really admire by Ford when they made this car was that every single XR5 Turbo only came in a 6-speed manual. So that is definitely exactly how it should have came from factory, and it did. So massive points for Ford for doing that. You can really tell this car was built in Germany, because it just feels so different to any of the other Fords I've driven, especially in the XR range. This is just a lot tighter. It feels a lot more compact, and you know, again, with that punchiness of the turbo, the sound, it's just a completely different animal. Now, one other really annoying thing is, this being a German-built car, the indicators are on the wrong side. So I don't know, I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to use the indicator and put the wipers on. So the indicator is on the left side of the wheel, not the right side, and that throws me out basically every time. Now let's get into the 5 questions here. So we always start off with sound. Now it is a little bit muted inside the cabin here, but I can still hear those shots just firing off in the exhaust. And the torque steer in this thing, when you really put your foot down, it just makes this car feel so alive and just have so much character. And when you hear those gunshots coming from the dual exhaust at the rear, my God, this thing sounds good. Now we are running the performance map here, though he does have a crackle map. Take a listen to this. Now handling, well, this thing being front wheel drive, it surprisingly handles though fairly well. Now you do have some oversteer when you go into corners and that, but pulls out really nicely. And you do get a bit of torque steer when you really put your foot into it, but I really like that. You know, I think it adds to the excitement of the car, and it really does make it a bit more of a fun, entertaining drive. The suspension feels really sorted. You know, there's minimal body roll. You know, it's fairly comfortable to soak up the road as well. The short shifter in this really makes it satisfying to go through the gears. Steering feels pretty sharp as well. You know, it's not the best out there, but better than most. This thing has a lot more low-end torque than what it suggests by the numbers. It really feels punchy, it feels torquey, and my God, it feels fun to drive. Now practicality, well, practicality in this car is pretty damn good because obviously this is a 5-door hatchback. Got plenty of room, the rear seats do fold down as well. So, you know, this car is really practical. This would make a great daily. You know, your fuel consumption is claimed at 9.3 liters, though you're going to be pushing probably closer to 10, 11, 12, especially once you drive this car how you should. The seats are really comfortable in here. You know, you could easily do a long road trip. Everything's easy to access. Now, this one has had an upgraded infotainment system put in, so this is not factory, but everything around it is still factory. So even this carbon fiber kind of trim, that is all factory. Even down here where the gear shifter is, all factory. You know, you have a push button start in here. Now this is a real push button start as well. This is not like some of the XR6 turbos I've been in where you have to put the key in, turn the ignition, and then push the button. I really don't know why Ford decided to do that. This one, you just jump in, keys in your pocket, push the button, and let's go. Now in the back seats, there is plenty of room actually, surprisingly a lot of room actually. I sat back in there in a normal seating position, and I had plenty of leg room, plenty of headroom as well. Now, one really strange thing is that this particular one, with the Recaro leather upgrade, seems to get a middle seat delete. So you only get actually 2 seats in the rear rather than 3. So I am really confused by this. I have seen some other ones that have leather that have 3 seats. So I know if you have the base cloth interior on these XR5 turbos, they are a 5-seater. Though from the owner telling me, if you upgrade it to the leather Recaros, apparently you lose 1 middle seat in the back. So the comment section, please let me know if I'm wrong or right by saying that. I really don't know. But this particular one is a 4-seater. Very surprising. Now price, well, brand new, this car would have set you back about 36 grand. And you know, I'm gonna say, I think that was pretty damn good value. This thing is a bloody fun little hot hatch. You know, it's practical, it's fairly reliable, very fun to drive. So, you know, I gotta say, you know, this was a really good package that Ford had put together. Now, on the used market, these things do vary a little bit. Surprisingly enough, they've really held their value in my mind. If you were after a really clean, low kilometer model, good luck finding one straight off the bat. But if you were lucky enough to find one, you're probably gonna look at around the, you know, $11,000, $12,000 mark. If you were scraping the bottom of the barrel, you can probably pick these up for around that $7,000, $8,000 mark. And I've gotta say, I think that is tremendous value. Because when you drive an XR6 Turbo, you got a little bit of lag, and then the boost really kicks on, and it's sort of this long rush of power. Where this, it's just, nope, straight away you've got this really good punch of power, though it does not last for very long. So you do really find yourself going in and out of the gears quite frequently, but it really makes for an engaging drive. So when you're on a windy B road like this, you're constantly changing gears, you know, you're constantly fighting that torque steer, and it just makes for such an engaging car to drive, and it's just a lot of fun. It is so much fun, this car. Now, for anyone watching over in the UK, you might recognize this car as a Focus ST. That's because it is. Now, I do believe the UK got a small number of 5-door hatches, though the majority of them were 3-door hatchbacks like the Focus RS. Oh, listen to this thing. Oh, it's a lot of fun. Now, 0 to 100. Just pulling up on this back road here. Just going to give this car a little bit of a dig. Oh my goodness. Now, I did feel a little bit of a start and stop there for whatever reason. I'm not sure if that was traction control kind of fighting the car. Yeah, that was a bit weird. $100! Yep, that was definitely it. That was it. Traction control needs to be off, and then it does spin up. Wow. This actually really, surprisingly enough, that was spinning, I believe, like first, second, maybe even third. I'm gonna have to watch that back, but my goodness, there is some punch and torque in this car. It really does well. It is so surprising how punchy this is. 0 to 100 times don't really do it justice, because once you're already moving, that's when you can really feel all of that power go to the front wheels, and this thing takes off. It really does. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna finish the video off here today. So a massive thank you to the owner for allowing me to take out his XR5 Turbo. This is actually going to be listed for sale, so I will leave a link for it in the description below if anyone is interested. These cars are so much fun, and I really want one. I really do. But anyways, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please remember to hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you're new here, and we'll see you on that next video.